Hi, welcome to Maxx's channel. I'm not Max, but I am a bisexual, and I'm going to start talking to you about my favorite thing in the world, bisexuals and film. So where to start? I should probably introduce myself. My name is Shayna Maci Warner. I'm a film programmer and I'm a writer. You can read some stuff on shaynamaci.substack.com. I don't know if you want to. You haven't started the video yet, so if you just think I'm cute and you like my shirt, just stop this video right now and go subscribe to that newsletter, and no one's the wiser. I'm just kidding. I'm a little nervous because I used to do YouTube vlogs when I was like 10. This platform raised me, which is why I'm this bonkers, and that's okay, you know? That's all right. We're all dealing with our own stuff. Anyway, let's get back to bisexuals. Today I am simply here to yell about some aspects of bisexuality on screen and tell you about some of my favorite representations. Two questions. Number one, how can you label a film as bisexual? And number two, what do you mean by bisexual? I'm going to tackle the second one first. Bisexuality is widely defined as the potential to have romantic and sexual attraction to people of your own and other genders, and I'm going to roll with that. This is explicitly inclusive of trans and gender nonconforming people, and I want to thank Robin Oakes for perpetually promoting and updating that definition. Okay, back to number one. Bisexuality in and on film can mean so many different things. It can be as straightforward as a character's identity, it can be a central piece of the plot, it can be aesthetics, it can be set pieces, it can be lighting. Bisexuality can be everywhere and also nowhere. Just as there are infinite ways to express one's bisexuality, there are infinite ways to interpret and express bisexuality on the screen. However, I think that even in the most seemingly simple of these sort of ways of expressing bisexuality, which might be a character's identity or pursuit or avoidance or dissolution of a romantic interest, there can be some controversy in an audience trying to decide, is this character really bisexual? For example, let us talk about a particular film, Disobedience, directed by Sebastian Lelio. I have a lot of complicated feelings about this film, but my complicated feelings are more related to its portrayal of Judaism than queerness, which is great. I love intersectionality, complaining about both parts of my identity. In this film, Rachel Weisz plays a photographer named Ronit, who comes back to visit her estranged community of Hasidic Jews after her father has passed away, and in doing so she reunites with her childhood gal pal, Esty, who is played by Rachel McAdams. And oh, reunite they do. The majority of critical and popular conversation around this movie really centers it as a lesbian narrative, but to me this is a bisexual film. Though it is an obviously lesbian relationship at the center of the narrative, within the first few minutes of the film, Ronit's character is hooking up with a nameless, faceless man in the bathroom. And when Esty asks whether Ronit has been with any other women, Ronit says no. To me, this bisexual character is going through it, even if, to quote Grey's Anatomy, she doesn't say something like, "So what? I'm bisexual."
So I'm bisexual, so what?
But how can we quantitatively determine if this is a bisexual film? Here's the answer. I'm giving it to you now. Many people have asked, so come closer. Closer. You can't. Or, inversely, if you want it to be bisexual, then it is. In real life, you cannot simply decide or define a person's identity just because you want it to be a certain way, or you're drawing lines around what you think an identity should mean. You have to ask them, if you're close like that, and it's any of your business. If they choose to tell you, then that's that. That's kind of all you got. Unfortunately, I cannot enter a film, not even Disobedience, to ask Ronit out for coffee and to ask her very invasively, "Hey Ronit, are you bisexual?" However, a key part of creating art is the audience's experience of that art. So if you interpret something to be bisexual, you can claim it that way. Does a character's actions resonate with you as a troubled bisexual? Then congratulations, they can also be a troubled bisexual. A caveat to this is that there's no real reason to celebrate creators or corporations who do the bare minimum and call it representation. If you made that bi connection all on your own, you can applaud yourself. Not Disney, not Marvel. I guess they're the same thing now. Not Netflix social media accounts. There are also a lot of truly bad faith arguments advocating who is allowed to be bisexual as a character, but those are the same bad faith takes that are around who is allowed to be bisexual as a person. So basically, I think the answer is, if you're not an asshole, a whole world of bisexual film will open up for you. To help you on your bisexual cinephile journey, I would love to introduce a few of my favorite bisexual representations, the first of which is a pre-code film. When I say code, I mean the Hays Code, or the production code, which was a moral and ethical code that Hollywood was supposed to use to censor itself from the inside, and it was in place from 1934 to 1968. To understand this code, I am going to read a few of its tenets. 1. No picture shall be produced which will lower the moral standards of those who see it. Hence, the audience's sympathy shall never be thrown to the side of crime, wrongdoing, evil, or sin. The people who were writing and enforcing this code were absolutely considering homosexuality, bisexuality, and gender nonconforming behavior as a sin, so that's not great. On to the next one. Law, divine, natural, or human, shall not be ridiculed, nor shall sympathy be created for its violation. This doesn't read great for homosexual, bisexual, or gender nonconforming behavior either, all of which were targeted by multiple laws around sexual activity as well as gender presentation. But before the creation and enforcement of the code, we do have quite a few examples of bisexuality on screen, one of which is in the film Morocco, which stars Marlene Dietrich as a nightclub performer who falls in love with a soldier during wartime. She gives a gorgeous performance, and there's a very oft-cited scene of gender f***ery during this time in which she's dressed in an iconic top hat and coat and tails, and she goes and kind of flusters and seduces one of the women who is watching her perform, and then gives her a kiss straight on the mouth, and it doesn't cut away or anything. It just lets her do her thing and have her seduction and then continue her performance. It's so hot. I can't think of another film that stacks up right now in a seduction scene. And I feel like I would be loath to not mention Queen Christina, which is a 1933 film starring another siren of the screen, Greta Garbo. She just has an absolute mastery of the camera, and you just want to watch her face the entire time, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is she plays a real Swedish monarch, and Hollywood has doctored the script so that her main kind of love interest is a man, but she has a romantic relationship with her devoted maid, Ebba. This is another really fun and beautiful film that has this expression of bisexuality and gender nonconformity at the same time. It's wonderful. During the repressive code itself, there are still many suggestions of bisexuality that manage to make it onto the screen in innuendo, in suggestion, in aesthetics, and this is why I feel like it's impossible to confine bisexuality on screen to the explicit verbal acknowledgement of such an identity. To do so would mean we're wiping away decades of screenwriters and performers and directors laying out complex signals to get around censors and to communicate to a queer audience. As Vito Russo's book and then formative documentary, The Celluloid Closet, would tell you, we have so many different expressions of bisexuality and homosexuality during this era anyway. We have Ben-Hur and Masala's implied former romance during Ben-Hur. We have The Wizard of Oz. We have Rebel Without a Cause. We have Sylvia Scarlett. We have Gilda. But now we don't have that code anymore, right? People can make whatever they want and everything is gay. Well, unfortunately, those at the top are still mired in these puritanical ideas of the Hays Code, only now they've been translated into the rating system. It is still really difficult to get a major gay project greenlit, especially if it has anything that might be deemed offensive. And queer people still aren't really taken into account beyond a really superficial buy-in. This is what I was talking about when it came to not fully developing characters or storylines and relying on tropes and tokenism. But luckily, we don't have to look directly to Hollywood to satisfy our need to see bisexual film. So to close this out, I'm providing you with a list of definitely bisexual film, in my opinion, and a lot of it is outside of Hollywood. It's independent film, or it's outside of the US altogether. Did you like the example of Morocco and want to see more excellent costuming, people assuming that everyone is bisexual, and song and dance? Well, I would suggest Cabaret or the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Do you prefer a subtle examination of masculinity, class, nationalism, and youth, all rolled up into a freaking beautifully shot road trip? Why not try Y Tu Mamá También? Do you want a super sweet, gossipy, romantic comedy drama that looks at biphobia within queer communities in a way that I don't think has been replicated since? Go try Go Fish. It's great. Do you want to watch Idina Menzel be hot and bi? Go watch Rent. Don't watch Rent. I'm sorry. I had to include it because a lot of people came out because of Idina Menzel and Rent, but it's so apolitical. Do you love bi vampires? Try The Hunger. Do you love bi chaos, bi dancers, and beautiful bi lighting? Why not try Emma or Dirty Computer? Do you like stories of notable real people who are bisexual? Why not try Definitely Dusty, or Bessie, or Velvet Goldmine, but we can't say that's about a real person. What about bi panic? Not in the way of, I'm scared I might be bi, but in the way of, I'm bi and life is a nightmare. Well, you could try Princess Sid, Shiba Baby, Rurangi, or Appropriate Behavior. In conclusion, if this is the conclusion, I hope that you get to treat yourself to widening the rules of what you perceive as bisexual on screen. You have my full permission to enjoy whatever the heck you like, but just remember that a lot of the stories that you really want to see exist at the margins of power and money. Go hunting in less obvious places. Maybe try your local library. Maybe try your local film festival. Wink wink. Go outside of US film. Maybe try any niche streaming service that is interested in celebrating independently made film. The more independent something is, the more freedom it has to consider doing something risky. And yes, bisexuality on film is still considered risky. I hope the entire world of bisexuality on film opens up for you. I hope you have a wonderful time watching some stuff you never would have watched before, and I hope you have a great day. All right. Bye.